Starting at number 5, I'm going with the colossal masterpiece by Convict Skateparks that is Bracken Skate Plaza. Located a half-hour drive north of the CBD, this stunning skate park resides in the suburb of Bracken Ridge, just next to the Aqua Centre. It has all the basics covered from free 24-hour parking, water fountains and public toilets that always seem to be open. The first thing I'd have to say is that even after almost 10 years, the park still looks brand new with almost no graffiti. The park has everything that you could want from a Plaza designed skate park. Rails, ledges, hubbas, manual pads, banks, wallies, pole jams, quarters, a vert wall, and even a cut-out gap with pool coping. There's even a large sheltered area on one side of the park for shade on hot summer's days, and plenty of trees and greenery. The park isn't perfect though. Due to its design, it encourages people to go end to end or even right around. This makes it almost impossible to skate without cutting off other people's lines, especially if they choose to use a bank-to-bank that cuts diagonal through the park. This is one reason why I wouldn't rate it as a great skate park for beginners, unless you can find a quiet time to go practice. Also, the park can be more on the advanced side if you're not looking to send decent sized rails or flip big gaps. On the plus side though, the park does have lights, and honestly, it's better to skate this place at night than it is during the day. The flood lighting is perfect and you won't even notice you're skating at night time. But the skate park isn't all there is to skate. Right next door is one of the best pump tracks that I've personally ever skated. I've never really been big on pump tracks, I always thought they were a waste of space, but this one's a personal favourite. The design allows you to pump the whole track without the need to push, and there's also a variety of different bumps and turns. You may need to pick your session wisely though, as most of the time it's crowded with kids. I find it's best to use it as a warm-up spot before hitting the skate park. For number 4, I'm going with the lesser known Mount Cotton. This one was also created by Convict and opened in 2017. This one's a bit further away, about a 40-minute drive outside the CBD, and compared to something like Bracken Ridge, it's minimalistic to say the least. As you can see, the park is small and doesn't have that many features, but that doesn't mean it's not a lot of fun. It features a bank-to-wall ride, a curved manual pad, a flat bar, ledges, a down rail, a few banks or hips, and a long quarter pipe at the bottom that goes into a mini ramp. I think the reason that I love this park so much really comes down to the orange rail. So if you've just learned a new trick on a rail and you want to take it down something but you're finding that most rails are a bit too gnarly, this rail is like the perfect size. Besides the lack of obstacles, there are a few more downsides to this park. The first big one being that there are no lights, despite this being a secluded park area. I know this drone footage actually makes it look really bright, but this is the actual footage from my camera, and as you can see, it's a bit different. The lack of lighting makes it almost impossible for me to make it there for an after work session, so going to this skate park has become pretty rare. The next issue is there's always an abundance of school kids and younger children at the skate park. Besides the general lack of awareness, the park's small design means it doesn't take too many people to make it too full to skate. The scenic park area seems to attract the local parents who bring their kids to the nearby play park, and some of which inevitably end up in the skate park. Obviously these conditions aren't ideal, but it's never stopped me having a good session at the skate park. Number 3 happens to be the oldest park on this list, and that's Kullaroo. The park opened in 2000, and as far as I know it's remained the same with the exception of the mini ramp, which has been updated over the years. The design of this one is very simplistic with a lot of free space to skate flat ground, which seems increasingly rare for skate parks these days. It does still have everything you'd expect, such as rails, manual pads, a variety of ledges and hubbas, a massive hip, a step up, and the steepest down rail ever. It also happens to be one of the few skate parks in Brisbane that still has a solid skate scene. The park also has one of the best mini ramps I've ever skated, and best of all, it's almost always empty, so you never have to worry about getting a session. The ramp is made of steel and goes from a long 4-foot section into a 5-foot extension on each end. It's also the perfect size, not too big that you'd be scared to skate it, but also not too small that you couldn't do more difficult tricks. The only thing worth noting is it's definitely known to be extremely slippery, so just keep that in mind. Between the street section and the mini ramp, I'd say there's something for everyone in Kullaroo, but it's not all great. The big issue that always comes up here is the lack of lighting. This makes it super difficult to skate this park before 4 or 5 in the evening, as there's absolutely no shade from the sun. Considering this is an industrial area next to a large park, I have no idea why the Brisbane Council would refuse to put lights here, especially when the park's still being used all hours of the day. Another thing worth noting is the little pump track thing they built about 2 years ago. I don't know if the idea here was to build this to keep the kids out of the original skate park, but it doesn't seem to work, and overall it just seems like a waste of money. Just missing out on my top spot is a new Morayfield skate park. About a 40-minute drive north, the park just got a much needed rebuild this year, but I've been going up to skate the park for about 3 years now and I love it. That's not actually true. I love skating the vert ramp, the park itself not so much, but it is definitely worth skating. Unlike every other park in this list, there are no public toilets here, or anywhere close for that matter, which I do find pretty frustrating. There is a fairly small car park and some water fountains, but given that it's Morayfield, it's definitely not a blissful park area. The new design brought the park to higher ground, with the idea being it's less likely to flood. The vert ramp was moved closer to the car park, with a shaded seating area surrounding it. They also did a really cool memorial to Trent Riley on each end, but unfortunately it does keep getting vandalised. The park itself does have a little something for everyone, and it's also built with a unique flair. Overall it contains all your standard stuff: ledges, rails, banks, quarters, wall rides, but designed in a way that makes the park feel fresh and spacious. The linear design also helps prevent people from cutting in front of others. From here you can come up the banks to the higher platform where you can find the new bowl. The bowl looks amazing and definitely has some interesting features with extensions, a waterfall and a volcano in the centre, but honestly it looks a lot more fun than it really is. They also decided to make a cutout in the mini bowl to the other side, but it just encourages kids to go into the bowl whenever you're skating. Speaking of which, this seems to be one of the biggest issues with this park. 90% of the time it's overrun with kids on scooters, and there doesn't seem to be a solid skate scene here anymore. The one redeeming feature seems to be that it has floodlighting, so you can skate pretty much any time you want. It also seems to be a lot less busy in the evenings, so it makes it so much better to have a session. At number 1 I'm going with a really obvious choice, and that's Redbank Plains Skate Park. And before you say it, yeah I know this is technically a suburb in Ipswich, but like, what do you want me to do? Brisbane sucks. The park only opened around 2 years ago, but it's been a massive hit from the beginning. Situated in another beautiful public park, there's plenty of free parking, public toilets, water fountains, and just a short walk from Redbank Plains Shopping Centre. The park literally has everything a skater could want, including stairs, rails, ledges, step-ups, pole jams, quarters, banks, and it's all wrapped up in a very distinctive design. It also has a lot of smaller ramps and obstacles to suit beginner riders, and there's also a lot of room, so you shouldn't have to worry about getting in anyone's way. However, if you're not into street, the park also has this to offer. The bowl contains everything, from a spine, a quarter leading over it, big hips, bumps, gaps, and finally a deep end around 10 foot with concrete coping that grinds perfectly. The only issue I do have with this park is there isn't enough shade to have a good skate during the day. We usually have our Sunday sessions around 7 in the morning, but even in winter it can be too hot by 10 o'clock, which doesn't leave a lot of room for skating. Luckily, the park also has lights, so you'll probably find it best to go in the evening. Just keep in mind that a lot of people have the same idea, and I've ran into full BMX and inline nights that were so crowded that I pretty much couldn't get a skate, so choose wisely.